Okay, and here we go. I'll be doing a veil technique. So this veil technique, basically it's a series of foils that run through the top portion of the hair. So I'll make a triangle and just foil that. My formula for inside the foils, I'm using a high lift series 11 ash with a 40 volume developer. And again, we'll be playing with the veil technique today. So there's my first foil. Close it up nice and tight. Now, depending on how thick or thin your weave is, you can adapt the intensity of the color. I want a strong impact, but I want you to look a bit nice and natural. So I'll keep my foils pretty tight, so they'll be like maybe 4 millimeters in between, and I'll weave the hair a little bit heavy into here, so that'll give me a stronger chemical effect, like the color that comes out of the foils, because again, my packets are closer together and there's more hair in the foil. I could use the exact same technique and go softer. So if I wanted to use the exact technique and get a bit softer result, I could use the same technique, but just like select less hair in each packet and a little bit more spacing. So this technique is highly adaptable. But one thing I want to cover is like your placement. Like you weave the hair, place the foil right at this hairline. So the seal is right there. You want to get the color as close as possible. So first hit the mid shaft, and then after that go gently and then lift the hair up, lift the hair down. When you're doing foils, you want all of your working product to be in a close proximity, so that way you're not wasting time, you're not wasting product, and it's a lot faster. Because if at this length, if I didn't use that technique, I'd waste a lot of time just stroking the hair and trying to get everything into the foil, or I'd have to go out and cut longer foils. So again, being real gentle around the root area and anticipate the chemical. When you close up that packet, that chemical will seed. So when you seal up the chemical, you'll get a bit of expansion. So you want to get it close enough to the seal, but not too close that you get bunnies. That's when the color, bleeds outside of the foil. So again, the hair is much longer than my foil. I'll weave it quite thick. Now place my foil right at the hairline. Then I'll take my high lift, apply at mid shaft, and then right there by the roots. And then these longer ends, I just lift them, hit them, close them, lift them, hit them, close them. So everything is in the same working proximity, and you always have to have a consistent density and distribution of the actual product. So again, this veil technique is a large, obtuse triangle through the top. And actually this technique, you can build the color up, you can build the color down. I could take the first foil is a bit heavier and then start weaving it more natural. I can make it more natural to the front and build up the color heaviness by starting to slice the hair thicker as I work towards the crown. Or I could build the color up and then back to down and then back up. So there's a lot of creative adaptations, but it's always good to get this technique under your belt. And once you actually know the technique, then finding creative inspiration, adaptations, it just happens naturally, because the more comfortable you are with the technique, the more curious your mind will become and you'll explore that technique. Okay, so now we're going to go and tint the rest of the hair. So my color, I'm using a level 6 neutral ash with 40 volume developer, and this is the formula for the mid shafts to the ends. So I like working really systematic. Feel free to use your thumb and just rub that tint into there. And I'm actually quite generous when I'm applying tints, because I'd rather use more tint than less tint. I know it's a bit wasteful, but then I'm not wasting as much time. So I always want a consistent, thick distribution of the product. And I like using a comb in my hand when I section out the sections, because everything just works a lot cleaner this way. Okay, and I already broke my sections up into 4. So I like working clean and methodical. I won't move on to the next section until everything is done proper. But at this length, if you really look at it, and your time is money, so you have to take that into consideration. Per subsection, how much time do you really need to spend applying it? 15, 20 seconds? So if each major section has 5 or 6 subsections, you should be able to handle that within 2 to 3 minutes. So the total application time, hopefully you can control it to be under 12. but you also have to have a clear intention, because with the chemicals, a tint's a tint. Right now I'm just in one solid color, so it's not brain surgery. It's just the technical formulation and then the application. The creative stuff is more through the front with the foils. And hair tints can get really exciting and creative, but here I'm just working one solid, consistent base color, and the veil highlights that fall will actually give this overall tint more oomph, more shine, more luster, more texture. And the reason why I'm going with like a level 6 neutral ash, because her hair, she's a natural level 2, so it's quite dark. So as I lighten that hair, I will pull a significant amount of natural warmth. I want to keep some of that natural warmth, but I don't want too much of it. Because again, level 2s and really thick hair, they tend to pull a lot of warmth. So I grab that 6A because it's a balance between a neutral and an ash. So the ash will control enough. If I just went in with a level 6 neutral, it would come too, the end result would be too warm. So that 6A is a nice balance where it's warm enough, but it's not so brassy warm. Okay, so still working in clean, manageable sections, even distribution of the product. Just always, when you're working with chemicals, be as clean as possible and make that a habit, because if you start off a clean habit, it'll stay forever. So now we're doing the roots. So the roots, I'm using the same level 6 neutral ash, but my developer, I lowered it to a 25% developer. So if you don't have a 25 in hand, you can mix equal portions of 30 volume and 20 volume. So that'll give you a 25 volume, because it'll give me enough lift. I don't want the ends to go too brassy. So just like combing out a section, hitting the roots with my tint brush. I'll take my 105, comb out the next section, hit the roots with my tint brush, and it's just I'm being very thorough and methodical. And by working with the comb, it's more professional and you really can't miss anything. And when you're doing your tint applications with a comb in one hand and your tint brush in the other, you'll find that your work becomes a lot more technically clean, technically disciplined, because again, it's the same thing. Combing out with a comb will get what you're working much more cleaner than a lot of colorists. They like to flip over and use the back side of the tint brush. It just makes that tint brush messy and your overall work, in my opinion, a little bit sloppy. So just my habit is, again, using this 105 to apply tints. I've seen other techniques used and they get great results. This is just a habit of mine, and this is what I've been doing for over 20 years, and it hasn't failed me yet. So there's more than one way to get an end result, but this is, in my expert opinion, the most accurate and professional way to approach tinting. Okay, and then pretty soon I'll be going in between the foils. So just as when you start going in between the foils, you don't want to get too much product to intermix with the product inside the foils. So work really clean, really methodical, and make sure you get an even distribution. And don't miss any spots. Okay, so now that the tint's over, I'm going in. I just want to blow out the hair nice and full with a lot of bounce and movement. So for the blowout, I'm just going to do this in high speed. I'm blowing in a curly shape. I want a lot of root lift, so I have to nail the roots. I put a lot of emphasis on getting that root lift. So when I blow out the roots, I blow them out and starting off at a really high angle, and I make sure the roots are dry or 80% dry before I start moving towards the mid shaft and ends. So that helps me to get a lot more body. Okay, pay a lot of attention to the angle of the nozzle as it approaches your round brush. If you need more body, I like to twist the round brush so it puts more circular movements in what I'm drying. And then as it sets, I'll move on to the next section. It'll cool off, it'll set that shape, so it'll give me a nice body wave that holds for a really long time. Right, here we go back into normal speed. I'm just closing that cuticle using really slight tension. And this nice bend, it will hold for a really long time. Okay, so there's our technique. Enjoy.